How's it going, igtv? This is Billy Newman. I run the account Billy Newman on Instagram. I also run the website billynewmanphoto.com. I'm a photographer. I work in the Northwest, and probably a lot of the people that are watching this have seen some of the photographs that I've taken before. But for the Instagram TV system, I'm trying to figure out a couple different ways to experiment with vertical video and sort of with like short form editing and recording and publishing on that. But it'd be kind of interesting to see if it goes somewhere. It's just sort of a fun thing to try out since it's just recently been announced. But today what I wanted to do is make a pretty short video about some of the things that I've been learning about 360-degree video footage. And so the first part of that was the camera. And so the one that I had used, there's a few different ones out there on the market right now, but the one that I have been using was the GoPro Fusion camera. And that records 360-degree images by having a 180-degree lens on the front of the camera and then a second 180-degree lens on the back of the camera. And so with that, it's able to build or stitch together afterward in post with a long time of rendering. You're able to put together a 360-degree image that makes an equirectilinear sphere from the footage that you shot. So it was really cool trying to work with the GoPro Fusion camera. The specific thing that makes the GoPro Fusion maybe a little easier to use or maybe produces a bit more of a professional product in the outcome is because it has a digital gimbal system. I haven't really seen this used much before. I think there's another competitor 360 camera called the Rilo that has something similar to this, but maybe not though. But this gimbal system does this digital gimbal system. By that, it means there's no physical components to it. There's no, there's no like, I don't know, no gears or motors or gyros or anything associated with it. It's really all just done in software, and it's able to fully stabilize the 360-degree footage that you record. So there's a lot of footage where I'd be walking around or hiking or something, and you really can't even see the steps that you're taking in the hike. It's really just smooth as you go through, and that makes a huge difference in the way that the outcome of this 360-degree video experience is for you. The other part of that full stabilization is that as the camera pans or tilts in some direction, the stabilization is really able to correct for that so that the camera operator has agency over where they're looking outside of the camera's orientation shifting, having an effect on it. So what it really ends up is just the effect that it's a really smooth video that you get the ability to kind of turn and pan around between. And that's probably the main significance of it is you get a real immersive experience of whatever it is that you're recording or looking at. We did like a handful of different events or different locations where we took the camera out to a waterfall, I think Sahaley Falls, which is a really beautiful spot. And you kind of go down to I don't know what it is, like the little basin where the waterfall is, and that's where there's a lot of spray, and it kind of opens up in that area, so you get a bit of a, I don't know, there's a bit of a location to record in, and it's a pretty significantly interesting landscape location with a bit of activity going on, like the waterfall coming down, the creek that flows by, the trees and the grass and stuff around it. So a really beautiful kind of position to be in, but just kind of walking through there, kind of walking over the boulders and the steps and stuff, the full stabilization really kind of cleaned that footage up in a way I was really surprised to see. So after that, once you get back home and you put it onto a computer, the interesting thing that's very difficult about working with the 360-degree footage is that you have to render, at least specifically the GoPro footage, through the GoPro Fusion Studio software. And it's fine working software. I think its back end is similar to some of the other more professional 360-degree stitching software that exists out there. But within the GoPro software, there's definitely some specifics that you can get into technically of how to render out your video. But what worked for me best is trying to put it on the computer. And I have a 2015 MacBook Pro, which is a fine computer and really is very adequate in almost every means, but you really end up having to have quite a bit of horsepower to be able to render out the frames in these 360-degree 5K images. So that was something that I learned pretty quickly and pretty slowly, really, trying to check out some of the stuff that was going on for rendering out these frames. But dropping in, let's say 1 minute of 360-degree footage rendered out in a 5K MOV file took about an hour to render. So it was really quite a bit of time. I don't think that part of that is that you would really need a dedicated graphics card that has has a significant amount of onboard video RAM to be able to process out some of these frames, I think, a little faster. I think the best that I was producing was maybe 1 frame a second. I tried it on an older Mac Pro cylinder, and that was much faster, and was able to crunch things out at a much faster pace. So I would definitely recommend trying to go with a computer that has as much horsepower, as much video processing power, or a video card as possible. I mean, really, I was amazed at really how antiquated. What the best analogy I have to it is that it felt like trying to record and edit video back maybe 10 or 11 years ago, maybe 15, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago now. I'm getting older, but back when it was like AVI files onto older computers through like a scratch tape capture card system. But just the rendering system of it would just seem so much slower than what you're commonly used to now by pulling up something in Final Cut. The other thing that I noticed that was definitely important was that I had to upgrade the type of, or the version of Final Cut that I used to 10.4. I think that's the first version of Final Cut that actually accepts editing and sequencing 360-degree footage in at least a comprehensible way. So it was interesting trying to work with it, but really the version of Final Cut does a pretty decent job at orienting yourself, and it offers you a few visualization tools like a 360-degree fade, or a healing brush tool to, I think, spot clone out the location at your nadir. I think it's the zenith, and then the nadir, right, is the top and bottom. And if you sort that out, I guess you can kind of clone out where you are, where your tripod is, and your 360-degree footage pieces. So that was pretty interesting. But that's a lot of the stuff of the work that I've been doing in 360-degree footage. Hope you learned a little bit of something on this Instagram TV video episode. Thanks a lot for checking my stuff out. You can go to billynewmanphoto.com to see more of my work, or on my Instagram page here at Billy Newman. Thanks a lot.